All right, I've got 6:30. Let's go ahead and call the meeting to order with a roll call.
Travis Kramer.
Here.
Scott McCorney.
Here.
Jeremy Hansen.
Here.
Jason Weesey.
Here.
Paul Kraus.
Here. So Open Meetings Act is posted on the wall. Item 4, consent agenda. Nobody had anything that we should consider separately. Just need a motion and a second for approval.
I'll make a motion to accept the consent agenda as presented.
I'll second that motion.
We have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda as presented. If there's no further discussion, let's vote on that motion.
Scott McCorney.
Aye.
Jeremy Hansen.
Aye.
Jason Weesey.
Aye.
Travis Kramer.
Aye.
Paul Kraus.
Aye. Item 5, approval of minutes from the May 20th, 24 regular board meeting and approval of minutes from the June 10th, 2024 special strategic plan meeting. I think everybody was here for both. So we can approve, make one motion and approve both.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes for the May 20th and May 10th meetings. For the regular board meeting, strategic meeting.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for the approval of the minutes from the May 20th regular board meeting and the June 10th special strategic plan meeting as presented. If there's no further discussion, let's vote on that motion.
Jeremy Hansen.
Aye.
Jason Weesey.
Aye.
Travis Kramer.
Aye.
Scott McCorney.
Aye.
Paul Kraus.
Aye. Item 6, unfinished business. Item A, discussion and possible approval of quote to replace auditorium windows. That's on page 22 in our packet.
Did you get that? Did anybody get down to the church to look at them? Okay, we have it in there for unfinished business.
But when are they gonna install the one at the library, do you know?
It's gonna be
A little bit, so,
it's a pretty big lead time on that.
okay.
It'll at least be 2 months.
Did we find out as far as the warranty, the lifetime warranty
It's a
stuff?
lifetime more.
Lifetime warranty. Okay. Sweet, okay. Let's see, yeah, let's see where that window sits and look at the other ones quick.
That's fine.
So let's table that one, if that's okay.
Okay. Item B, discussion and possible approval of quote for outdoor book drop for library.
I'll put that one too. So I talked, librarian in regards to the book drop and looking at the way that comes in there. We talked about possibly just building a box for inside as opposed to putting something outside. And it looks like it's pretty doable. We got measurements. I said we look for a quote to fabricate it as opposed to right now looking at the outside unit. That's kind of over the budget that we talked about.
Yeah, I'd probably agree with that. Probably save us a lot of money.
Yeah. I don't know where it's appropriate for me to step in, but I think if we get bids or whatever, I could probably do it for less than 500. 500 or less. If we're talking leaving the slot in the current slot.
Leaving the current
Just
slot,
building
building something around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would think I could build a sealed box that could be opened from the top. For a reasonable amount, say 500 or less.
So we good waiting, we'll go out and get a couple bids. If you want to.
Yeah.
Bid too, that'd be great.
I think it would be appropriate to get a couple
Yep.
of bids. Yeah.
Yep, and then look to see that option. At least then we have our options as opposed to just the two pieces we got here.
I think that's, because nothing's gonna stop people from putting butts in an outside one, I would wonder if it's even more obvious for them to find.
Put stuff in.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and she showed me, I mean, rocks, everything goes in, but the cigarette butts are what we're most worried about.
Item C, discussion and possible approval of baseball complex interlocal agreement. You guys been working on that?
Yes. I would ask if that could go to executive meeting since we're discussing.
Yep.
Contract.
We can save that for later. Item D, discussion and possible approval of quote for swimming pool grate replacement.
Perhaps you want to take that?
Sure, sure. So I looked online and found a company that produces the same grading that's around the pool now, only it's PVC. And I was sure excited when they quoted me 35 pieces to go around the pool for $1,600. Then they realized they made their mistake. It's 35 feet. We need 350 feet. So it's $16,000 to replace that grading, which is where John's first guess was right on. So there is no savings that way. Jeremy, you want to touch on what you got?
Yeah, so I guess the bigger question is then. Do we start putting money back into the pool, or do we? Maybe vision further out and explore the possibility of putting something on the ballot at some point in regards to a new pool? And if so, do we still want to look at replacing this grate, or you have another one in your packet that is like a vinyl mesh pool mat that I think we could just go over the top of use the structure that's there and go over the top of those grates with the mesh to prevent the fiberglass going into irritating the kids. So it's not a fix, but it would be a temporary fix depending on how we want to approach the pool itself. It's a bigger question, I guess, right? Like, do we keep putting money in, or do we, because the pool is also losing water, and there's a lot of things that need to be looked at for that pool.
Yeah. And we can't seem to fix the diving board issue
without doing something big
on the deep end.
Yeah. Or zero entry if we're trying to be ADA compliant. Like, I mean, yeah.
The bigger question is, do we want to go out and have it engineered so we know what kind of project we're talking about putting on a bond? Right. Because without that, we don't know if we're talking 1.5 or 3.5 million. I mean, it could be anywhere in between.
Yeah.
I was thinking too, we're kind of using the existing structure and just kind of improving and we got the whole dug ready. Hopefully we can save some costs that way too.
They can repurpose the building and some concrete and
Right.
be promising.
John, what's your thoughts about reusing the piping and stuff like that? I know we've had a lot of issues with.
We've had a lot of issues. I know. Kelly's here. They just did a pool in West Point. I don't think they started from scratch, did they not?
They did,
They couldn't use any of the old piping.
No.
Yeah, that's gonna be the problem, the issue that we're gonna run into, I do believe. Is that, I'm gonna guess our leaks are probably in the piping somewhere. Finding it is virtually impossible. There could be some in the pool, some in the piping. I'm not an engineer or a pool designer, but I'm gonna guess that it's probably not gonna be feasible to use what we have. That would be my guess. I mean, we've tried that already. That's what we did the last time. They put new gutter systems in and everything. It's way better than it was, but it's. I mean, I hear it's way better than it was. I wasn't around for that part of the pool. I was here for the improvements in 14 or whatever it was, 13.
What was the size of the pool you guys did in West Point? And
Well, that was a whole aquatic center.
Yeah.
oh, it was kind of like Fremont size almost.
Yeah, it was a building. I mean, we were just a subcontractor
Yeah.
that just did piping, but I mean, it was a I don't know, 11 or 12 million.
Yeah, it was that was a big jump. I think it got to be more than they thought it was gonna be.
It was.
According, because my brother-in-law works for the city of West Point, he said it substantially, the price went up. So that's just something to think about. Me personally, I don't think that they'll be able to use what we have and incorporate it into much of anything that you're looking at, like zero entry and stuff.
Right.
I don't know how they do that.
Yeah,
Yeah, it'd be a whole new footprint if we're looking at doing it. Or if we say,
we just paid for all the improvements.
you know, or we just continue to put a Band-Aid on it, I guess, but or invest something in order to get it back to, you know, either way, there's gonna be expenses. It's just a matter of how we want to
For
do it.
this season though, is this?
Is that the best?
Full mats, kind of lay about a foot strip along the ledge type deal and.
They're non-slip, they're designed for the pool, like.
Are they fairly weighted? I mean, or they're not gonna float to the top or?
So that's the only question, as I was talking to some other pool people, it's like,
Cause I've seen.
don't know for sure.
And if you fill the pool, they might come up and then float back into the pool.
So we need to, and that's where I think we almost need to test it, you know,
Yeah, get a piece.
get a piece, test it and see if that's a feasible option. But then we're talking closer to 3,000 as opposed to 6.
And they could last 3 years.
And they could last us 3 years. Like I said, yeah, it would be a temporary,
And
it's still temporary.
what's the lead time on these? Is this gonna cost, or take a bunch of time?
This one, I believe, is available to order, like, it's 10 days out to, you know, to get a ship.
Mhm.
And believe me, probably might have stopped to test it,
Current pool has number of
the
deficiencies
piece
with
as
that
opposed to
area.
having to buy it.
The new pool has zero entry, so there you go, we'll reach out to Shelton and buy their plan.
Oh, I'd say we need to do something before somebody gets hurt with these fiberglass.
Right.
Would it be possible to approve to a certain amount, not to exceed for repairs on it? I mean, would that be a possible? Then within the next maybe at least 3 weeks, we can get it resolved.
In
Somehow or another.
order this, that, whether it's this or that.
Yeah,
But what do we need for those grates? They're what, 6 or 8 inches wide?
10.
10 inches wide. So you can buy it in 2x3s up to 4x60 foot.
60 in, was it?
That's almost.
And we need 350
Feet.
by 10 inch.
Yeah.
So they come in rolls, I'm assuming, and
Yep,
then you just cut them down.
and you can cut them down.
But I'm guessing that you could probably get a sample of it, just to see if it would work. I didn't look where this company's out of.
So 2 of the 4x40 rolls wouldn't be enough. That'd be 320 feet if you cut them down to 10 inches wide. That would leave you some waste, but let's say 2,000 would cover it, though, 4 times. If we got a 4x40 foot and a 4x20 foot and you could cut them into 10-inch strips, that would cover it and you'd be under $2,000. That sound right? Or do we need 2 of them?
But
Just cut them in half if they're a little wider. Yeah, right.
Was off on, it'd be under 3,000 then.
3, that's what I'm getting.
Yeah. Well, should we approve for up to $3,000 in mats to repair?
starting point.
Does that sound good, Travis?
Yeah, I think it's reasonable.
And go that route.
Yeah, give John the leeway if he's happy with the maps, buy a sample roll.
But I think somebody would have something similar to it around here somewhere.
Yeah, I agree. So I'll make a motion to approve purchasing mats for the pool gutter edge. Not to exceed $3,000.
Second, second.
We have a motion and a second to, for the approval of the purchase of vinyl mesh pool mats. Not to exceed $3,000. There's no further discussion. Let's vote on that motion.
Jason Weasey.
Aye.
Travis Kramer.
Aye.
Scott McCorney.
Aye.
Jeremy Hansen.
Aye.
Paul Grouse.
Aye. Well, I doubt if anybody is here to sit through the right of way waiver evaluations and all that, so we'll move up a couple things here. Mike, what do you have for us? Discussion about safety concerns on Bell Street?
So we've talked about this a couple of times. We've lived down in the house for 27 years. And I don't really recall it ever, the speed on Bell Street being an issue. Until I noticed it, Giorgio and I noticed it a couple of years ago, and it seemed to be increasing. So we tried the little signs that I put up when people ran them over, and tried the radar thing, and that was fascinating to watch because you could see it would catch the speed when they kind of came down Bell Street from Kenner and and you see the speed on it go up and it would go down. And it kind of went up and down, and you can see the same car come back the other direction. Speed. Deputies have tried sitting up there, but obviously they can't be there all day. About last summer, late last summer, I was getting more and more frustrated because it seemed like the speed was increasing, or at least the frequency of the speed. And I'm a numbers guy, so I decided, well, I'm going to try to get my head around this objectively to a certain extent. If you go on Google Maps, you can, Travis knows this, you can measure distances. So I came up with the idea that I'm going to measure the distance between the two runs of trees, the pine trees, where it opens up for 14th Street. Does that make sense? And on Google, assuming you can believe Google Maps, it's 72 feet. If you do the math, a car traveling 25 miles an hour should take about maybe 2.2 seconds to transverse that 72 feet. So without it, please understand, I don't sit there and, watch for traffic. I wanted to get a grumpy old man hat for tonight. I couldn't find one, but you can notice when somebody's coming by them pretty quickly. So all I have to do is 1,000, 2, 1,003, and if they're pretty close to that, then that tells me they're somewhere in the neighborhood of 25 miles an hour. But if you continue to do the math, if somebody crosses that and I'm on 1,002 and they're already across, and it's roughly a second and a half if you do the math, and that's somewhere around 40 miles an hour. And if I can't get to 1,000 or less than a second, that tells me that car just went 50 miles an hour or more. So to try to add that up, as I sit enjoying breakfast on the patio or do dishes in the house, certainly most of the people are somewhere in the neighborhood of 30 miles an hour. I don't want to suggest that everybody goes flying by there, but there are a significant number of cars that is closer, in my estimation, to 40 miles an hour. And there's at least 3 or 4 cars that go past that intersection at 14th and Bell in the morning and in the afternoon at 50 miles an hour or more on that Bell Street. It doesn't have any shoulders, doesn't have any sidewalks, and it has that group of mailboxes sitting there. And I regularly watch families, kids on scooters, track kids doing exercises, old fat guys riding bicycles. And Friday morning, I watched a mom in a stroller early in the morning pushing the stroller up on Bell Street in the eastbound. So she was coming towards me. So she was in the eastbound lane coming towards me early in the morning when the sky's right over Bell Street. And to see her, to be able to see her, I had to shield my eyes to kind of block the sun. You can imagine if a car's coming down that street at 50 miles an hour, trying to shield their eyes from the sun. This is not going to have a happy ending. As a resident for nearly 50 years in the village and been at that location for 25 plus, and also as a former fire department member, in my opinion, there's an accident waiting to happen on that stretch of highway. And I think it's time for the city to begin addressing that. My recommendation, it's not a speed bump. It's what's now called a traffic calming device, which sounds very etherical, but if you I've spent a lot of time in Omaha, and if you spend time in residential areas, essentially, if you can imagine a speed bump that's stretched out. But I haven't measured anything, but it's roughly 15 feet long. And it kind of has an upgrade that I would guess is probably 8, 10, 12 inches high. And it flattens out a little bit and then it's a downgrade. I had an event at Champions Wednesday night and they have a couple of them there and I deliberately went over them at 25 miles an hour and it's a bump, but it doesn't rattle your car the way that we remember speed bumps. On the other hand, if you go over that at 50 miles an hour, it's going to rattle.
Yeah.
My encouragement is that the board begins to look at something to address the speed on the eastern part of it.
Mike, do you have any input on addressing the speed there? Anything that you've seen that works better than others or?
No, it's always been a problem. We can't be there all the time.
Yeah.
But Mike brings up an interesting point.
Well, we've got a lot of things to sit down as a street committee and look at. That's something I don't see a reason why we wouldn't look at that. We can discuss that and see how the board feels. I don't know. I hear a lot of people grumble when you say speed bumps, but
Yeah, I only imagine.
yeah.
It's not an issue on the eastern part of town because like wider there are shoulders. And honestly, if you drive it, it does feel like you're out in the country. But in addition to that, I don't shut up. Clearly, the amount of traffic on Bell Street continues to increase as not only the school grows, but the activities at the school grow.
Yeah.
And it's only going to get worse. I wish I could tell you that it's just a bunch of crazy kids, but it's not. Just from, again, standing at the sink doing dishes, I can tell you that it's SUVs and small cars and school vans. And it's a consistent problem across the spectrum as opposed to just being able to target. Yeah, I don't know what Mike would have to say about it.
Yeah.
And I think to add to that, it's the 61 mailboxes along there that people are stopping, getting out, getting their mail, making a little more congestion right at a point where there's too much speed, too many people walking. Leaves for a non-safe feeling stretch of road.
Yeah. All right, we'll sit down and look at this. Maybe somebody from JEO can help us with suggestions. But yeah, we'll sit down and discuss it. We have a quarterly meeting here, I think, coming up, so.
And if I can be of any help.
All right, thanks for your time. All right, let's move on about discussion about drainage concerns behind 1110 Oak Ridge Court. Who wants to speak first there?
I will.
Okay.
Okay, so we live at 1110 Oak Ridge Court. So our backyard is literally at the bottom of the hill that catches all of the rainfall essentially. We've lived there for 4 years now and our backyard is always flooded. And we strategically built a sandbox about 4 years ago, halfway up our backyard, knowing it was gonna flood. Well, granted, this year we've had rain and our backyard continues to flood and it hasn't been, it's very hard for our backyard to dry out. Well, we've probably lost close to like 6 inches of dirt out of our backyard from the constant water being hauled away to the trees that are to the east of our yard. We have tried to put some topsoil down in our backyard to grow some grass because we redid our retaining wall back there. It took us a couple years to get that done. Well, that's all completely washed away also. We have had people's trash show up in our backyard. We've had doormats show up in our backyard. We've had random items from up the hill just show up in our backyard that aren't ours. A lot of times, this hasn't necessarily, like, we've dealt with it for many years, but this year it's just kind of been exacerbating it. All of our son's toys have floated away many times, and granted, we put them up as high as we could in our backyard, but now the water is reaching our retaining wall and it's getting closer to our house. While I understand that we're at the bottom of the hill and that all the water has to go somewhere, I do know from the education from my family that it can be improved. So I guess that is one of our main concerns. The other concern that we have is that there is a drainage pipe that goes from the west end of our yard to the east. And it goes on the other side of the pine trees, because pine trees are our yard. And it goes to the trees. Well, there's a bunch of holes throughout the pipe in our yard. And we've filled them in a couple times because we have two small kids. And so these holes are big, like my 4-year-old will probably fall through one of them. But they keep reopening. And so our main concern with that is that it's probably a rotted pipe. Speaking to my neighbors, because I live in a very elderly cul-de-sac up there. That pipe is probably 40+ years old that runs underneath there. But my other concern with that is that we actually have a lot of kids that live in pipes right by the trees, and then we'll take our woods down to the county fair. So if some kid falls through, they won't know until probably I go to my backyard, because my neighbor is 80+ years old and she doesn't go in her yard. Or if people notice that the bikes are still sitting there in the morning.
Yeah.
So, it's kind of a two-part concern that we have with our backyard. And while we understand we're at the bottom of the hill and there is room for some sort of flooding, we had probably 3 feet of water on one Thursday in our backyard that just literally took our entire yard, and thank God we strapped our trampoline down, otherwise that baby would have been gone also. So.
I think one issue is if the inlets on the street can handle the runoff. I don't think the pipe in there is large enough to handle.
Yeah, I looked in there today. What size do you think those are, Kelly?
Coming off the curb inlets,
Yeah,
I think 12-inch.
Yeah.
So,
they look smaller than I was expecting.
yeah.
On this one here, is that where we're at?
That one, there's 2 on that side of the street.
This
That,
one?
yeah.
Is
and I
this where
couldn't
the
see in
drainage
the
is
one.
down here?
And
Or where's
so
the-
then those 2 go down into the fairgrounds. They drain down into the fairgrounds is where they go, right?
Well, I would say all those curb inlets there are coming to a common pipe that goes into that larger area inlet that's right west of the burn. And if you look in that, so I'll just add on to what Kinsey talked about, but I did look at it too, and we talked to Travis a bit about it, but I don't know initially when those pipes were probably designed in anticipation of the development to come up there, and the whole addition probably wasn't taken into consideration. So that's one thing, but the curb inlets themselves are only 4-foot throats, and the opening in those curb inlets are very small. And so in my opinion, from a contractor and an engineer, I mean, before you do a whole lot of anything, I think you need to get a drainage analysis and make sure that the pipe that you have there and the inlets are sized adequately to take care of that water. Without running cameras up those storm sewers, probably don't know if there's, anything you look at in the curb inlets right now, they're clean. I think the problem on that particular Thursday was the great inlet that's sitting there right at the east end of those pine trees. There's a big pine tree right there, that got plugged up. But those slats are pretty narrow. So probably not the ideal design for catching runoff, but in theory, that should just be taking care of the runoff from those 2 properties. Everything else that's on the street should go into the storm sewer and should flow out.
Yeah.
And, but when that capacity is exceeded, then it starts backing up and then backs up into their property. It's, but I think there's potential for improvements, but it might surprise you what kind of size pipe that's gonna need it at the very beginning, and then how many curb inlets need to be added going up the streets, because, I mean, it's possible to get that water off the streets, but you're talking about a lot longer throated inlets.
Yeah.
And bigger boxes and bigger pipe. I mean, it's definitely,
Now, when you do that, can you just normally cut portions of the curb out, or does that gonna
Yeah.
require some major paving?
no, you can cut out back a curb, but I mean, typically, depending on where the water is at, I guess, I mean, I assume the sewer's in the middle of the street. Depending on where the water main is going along there, that's the only other thing that might be
Yeah.
consideration, but, you know, the one curb inlet right to the west of their property, it's actually a grade inlet, so unless that gets cleaned constantly, you probably get debris that, you know, stops and plugs that, so then it goes around the corner and,
Yeah.
but
That's one of 3 major areas where we've had a lot of concerns with the flooding. Just a minute, Terry, I'll get.
I just have a little something to add. With the weather we've had and 150-year record rainfall here and the winds. Every time I drive around to see what's left, it appears to me that a lot of the drains that you're talking about have gotten filled and the water run over because of tree branches and leaves. I mean, they can clean them out, and the next time this happens, they got the same trouble.
Yeah.
I've seen that as a part of the problem. That is all. I didn't mean to butt in.
But I know we've had problems with drainage across the railroad tracks. I question whether we have enough culverts underneath the tracks for like Fifth and Sixth Street drainage, and the fairgrounds drains over there too. I know I've heard that there used to be 3 culverts underneath the tracks west of that Casey's to the bridge. And I don't think you can see any culverts there now. I don't know how that drains or what. I'm sure you know how it is working with the railroad. They kind of do as they please.
that's.
And then we've got concerns on Katy. I wonder if we should do a comprehensive townwide study, or at least a study of those 3
Yeah.
spots where we've had real severe issues.
Yeah,
So we can contact JEO. Is that something your company would be interested in doing?
well, I mean, we could, I know they're working in town doing that other stuff. I mean, I think temporarily, maybe trying to do something with that curb inlet or that grade inlet, I'm sorry. The area inlet that's right by that pine tree, just to, I mean, I know it needs to be clean, but
The one that's around, just right around the corner.
no, I'm talking about the one that's over by the berm,
Okay,
you know. The
Oh.
overflow that comes after it,
Yeah.
because you're not gonna solve this problem like that. Yeah, the furthest east one, because it looks like it's got a, I don't know, 36-inch diameter corrugated metal pipe going out. And there must be a concrete structure down below it to outlet it, you know. But I think if you at least took that off, and there's a few potential options, maybe to help the situation if you get, you know, some heavier rains, as the rainy season's not over, but just to try to alleviate that, or you gotta keep cleaning it out.
is that something, James, you guys could schedule Trek to do some inspection for us? When are they gonna be in town doing their normal cleaning or their routine stuff?
They're a little bit behind
Okay.
because of the flooding.
Yeah,
So I'm not sure when they're gonna do the cleaning. But I could also get Buck here with the push camera, because I think some of those runs are fairly short. And his camera goes up to 300 foot, so I could get him here either this week or next week, something like that. And we could just push it and see what's going on with it.
do you think we need the camera, anything down by Katy Drive, or is that more of a design?
I'm not even sure about that one. This big inlet, it's big enough for a person just to climb in and look all the way down the pipe, because it goes straight. Right, that biggest inlet, it's huge.
The one that goes down into the trees.
Yep.
Yeah.
But you could probably look this way and to that one curb to the,
I don't know that have you been down there?
just today,
Did you go all the way down there?
we didn't climb into it. I mean, Kelly and I were just looking down into that pit.
Because I know there's a big hole underneath it. I don't.
Oh,
Where the water, you know, where the water
On
runs.
the east
On
side.
the east side.
Oh, well, that could be, yeah.
Yeah, I don't really.
Is that something Buck's gonna be interested in doing since it's on the sewer side, or is that under his umbrella either way?
I'd have to call him. I
Call him and
I don't
ask.
think he'd have a problem doing it.
Call him and ask if he can help us identify. I'm worried that if we've got holes in the ground, you've got obviously compromised pipes. I mean, there's really no other answer, so.
Do you know, is that PVC? I couldn't tell.
Which one?
The line running through the city's property on the other side of the trees where all the holes are. I couldn't tell if it's PVC or.
Well, I mean, from
Concrete.
looking at it, I think it's concrete. The only PVC that I saw was on the one closest to Menkings.
Yeah.
You know, when you look in that little grate inlet, it looked like that was PVC, but,
So the concrete could have collapsed.
well, it could be. I mean, the inlets are clean, so.
I couldn't tell. by
Yeah.
just looking in there.
Yeah.
Well, let's see what we can get from Buck. If Buck can't help us, we'll get together with, we'll make sure we have what we want done before we talk to JEO and try and get an idea of what
I
they,
can contact JEO and see what they generally do for drainage analysis and stuff like that.
yeah. I think we need to do something there. We've had,
If that's something that we can go through somebody else for, or if that's something that they do
okay.
as a service.
So you'll contact JEO. You want to give James time to get a hold of Buck first, see what he can.
Yep.
Maybe if he's got additional information for him before they start, that would help.
Did you say you probably need a drainage analysis then?
Yeah, drainage study, because you gotta basically take
All the properties.
all the, you know, you got surface area, and then depending on the, you know, they're gonna design for a 10-year storm or 50 or 100, and then, I mean, you're not gonna save every time it rains a 100-year storm or 200, but
No.
the majority of the time, you would hope you could.
Yeah. Seems like we've been getting our share of these 100
Yeah.
and 200 year events.
Right, right. I know, for the Lower Platte North NRD, our 2019 was considered almost a 500-year flood, and this last storm exceeded that.
There's a new name for it now. It's a 1%, isn't it?
Is it what?
It's called a 1% now.
Well, maybe so.
That's what they
Maybe.
call it, 1% of every 100 years, instead of the 100-year flood.
Right, right.
It's called the 1%. But that's what I don't know why they changed it, but.
All right, well, we'll see if we can detect what's going on there now, and we'll get a hold of JEO and see if we can see what it's gonna take to do a study, and hopefully we can afford to get something moving on this, so.
Okay.
All right, thanks for your time. I appreciate you guys coming.
Thank you.
All right. Let's go to item E. I'm sure that's what Terry's here for on the discussion and possible approval of quote from Cargo's Construction for sidewalk curb gutter repair at 205 North Second. What do you have for us?
Well, I don't have anything other than it rained a lot and I didn't want to open that up. Been down here in May twice and seen water over the gutters. I tried to find something out about it in that month, but was unsuccessful. Then I see that you guys have opened it up for bids.
We told you we were gonna do that. We told you last fall that we'd give you till spring. And I feel like we've been fair and honest with you. I don't think anything we've done has been a surprise, has it?
12 inches of rain in town in one day is a surprise.
I understand that, but there's still been concrete poured within a week or two of that event, you know.
I know of one piece and it was a mistake.
Well. What do you want from us?
I want a little bit more time and then I want to know when the city, when we spoke, I was under the impression that the city was going to replace gutters, curbs and gutters.
Yep, I told you to get a hold of me whenever you're ready to pour, and I'll get them in here to replace that curb and gutter that's damaged. I hadn't heard from you, so.
No, but I don't know what that's got to do with me. Those could have been repaired first. It's got to be repaired before I pour concrete.
Terry, I had talked to you, and I'm not trying to be difficult. I talked to you and I said, when you're getting ready, we'll do it all in conjunction with each other. We'll get them poured, that way you can go on with your business. I hadn't heard anything from you, so I hadn't.
I mean, if we're gonna bid it, we're gonna try and bid it to do it all at once. So we gave you a chance to do it in the time that we allotted after you missed the deadline last fall. And so now
I
we're.
would have a deadline last fall. You told me May 31st of this year.
Okay, we gave you that deadline last fall. And that deadline has passed. Were you, when
You
you,
don't think that you should have poured those gutters? I mean, I've torn my part out.
you didn't tear your part out until after May 31st. We've been waiting to hear from you when you were gonna do that. John said that he hasn't heard from you. We told you, John told you that when you get ready to do that, let him know. He would pour the curbs for it. So how about we give you 30 days after we get the curbs poured? Is that enough time? We'll get the curbs poured and then you've got something to pour up against and you've got 30 days. Is that enough time?
Unless it rains every day.
I can't control the weather.
Well, I can't either. That's part of the deal.
I would think in a 30-day span, you could find a few dry days to pour.
Okay,
I don't think that's unreasonable, do you?
no,
I mean, we're
I'm begging
we're
for,
probably slowing down.
I'm begging for more time. That's what I am.
I know, that's been going on for a long time now. We feel like you were doing this last fall when I hoped you'd had it done last year.
I don't want to argue about it.
We'll get the curbs poured.
I have 30 feet of curb and gutter. We'll get poured back in within the next couple weeks.
Where did they come up with that number?
I assessed what damage was that there was to the curbs and that's what I came up with.
I just walked up here and I could see maybe 10 feet that wasn't damaged. But that's fine. If that's what you guys want there, that's fine. And I'll go along with that.
We just want to stop kicking this can down the road. Let's get it fixed. And,
Now, Terry, are you planning on pouring that the entire width where it was before?
Well,
That's just a question I have.
I didn't want to do that and I asked for an access to that vacant part and you guys turned me down. And then I agreed that I would pour that part. You said it was, I think you think it's 12 feet, but it's a little more than that. But I would agree, or I'll say it again, I would agree to pour that vacant lot, that full width. However, the part that's in front of the building, the Marshall Nursery Warehouse, it was not the full width. Somebody smeared some stuff over there afterwards. The original sidewalk was under that, and under that sidewalk was red slate tile, and that's what was originally in front of the whole building. I originally tried to get out of pouring the part full width to the curb in front of the building, because what happens is it pushes it, and then the next thing you know, you've got damage to the building. That was so broke up from before that it didn't do that yet. But it's just like in front of your building here, the front doors, that sidewalk there, part of it's been replaced because there wasn't enough expansion in there. And it pushes in the summer. All that other concrete that's down there at that building from the highway north, that's all 8 foot or 8'2". I just wanted to continue that just in front of the building. I'll pour the whole width.
I was just asking a question. I didn't, that one, I just was wondering what your intent was. That's all.
Well, that's what I'd like to do.
That's not up to me. I was asking.
And that's kind of the way the curb is now. There's a hoop right there, but then somebody over the years smeared some more stuff out in front of the building there. Like a skim coat.
how far down are we worried about? Are we worried about this full length of the building?
No, it doesn't, I mean, that's up to you guys. I would like to see the stuff by the post office poured all the way from curb to the proper, to your property.
I
I just don't want people that walk
match,
through.
you can match from the building to here with what's on the rest of the street. And have a nice walkway in front of your building. I'm not as concerned with in front of your building. If we're replacing a curb, I think we need to pour to that or.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
That's all I ask. I mean, there's a lot of people that walk up to
do you think
the.
that's reasonable?
Sounds good.
From
The
the empty lot to here, try and make it match what's here.
And the other,
And the other stuff, if you want to landscape and take some of that concrete out, whatever, as long as you've got a nice walkway.
the other part,
I would say,
between the two garage doors, I tore that out too because the trees had pushed that up and although all the slabs weren't broke, they were sticking up this far. So I intend on doing that too.
I will get the curbs poured back in the next couple of weeks, hopefully, depending on how busy the contractor is. And we'll, from there, 30 days and as those are poured in.
Is that fair?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any other concerns that you've got with it?
Not today.
Okay,
Thank you for your time, all of you.
thank you. We.
I'm just trying to get by.
No, I understand.
We're ready to move forward. That's good.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thanks for coming down. All right, so we'll table that.
Yeah, got it.
Do you already have approval for the gutters?
It's
Do we need?
900 to the 30 feet. You guys want to approve not to exceed. He may charge me a little bit more to come out just for that part. So you want to approve it for
For 1,000?
1,500 and not to exceed 1,500, then we're covered.
Okay,
And then if we find any more that might need to be done in town, you
Fill it in, yeah.
can fill it in.
so let's approve that. Just the curb and gutter repair up to $1,500. We need a motion and a second for that.
Want to make sure this is done before I leave.
You want to make that?
Oh, I thought you were making a motion.
I can't make the motion.
Yes, I'll make that
I'd
motion.
love to make motion.
Not to exceed $1,500 on curb and gutter.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for the approval of curb and gutter repair at 205 North Second Street, not to exceed $1,500. If there's no further discussion, let's vote on that motion.
Scott McCorney.
Aye.
Jeremy Hansen.
Aye.
Jason Weasey.
Aye.
Travis Kramer.
Aye.
Paul Kraus.
Aye.
Thank
Thanks, Terry.
Have a good night.
Okay, let's go back up to Streets Committee report. We don't really have anything yet. We'll see how this street project goes. We're getting a little nervous, but we should probably have a quarterly meeting. We've got a lot of things to discuss. See how we're gonna move forward. I'll get with you and try and set something up when you have an open day.
Are you still coming down here on Mondays or what days are you?
That's usually my day to come down.
I work. Give me a Monday.
Okay. Item B, discussion and possible approval of waiver valuations and just compensation forms from Midwest right of way. And
So Maria.
Maria,
West right of ways here to answer any questions you guys have.
Good evening.
hi Maria,
Hello.
thank you for zooming in.
Absolutely.
So can you give us a brief synopsis of what we're doing here? We've got 5 right of ways. Is that what it is?
So we have a total of we have 4 permanent easement. Permanent easements from property owners, and then we have 1 right of way purchase, which is just area of a property that is being purchased in fee. We were able to determine the value for each of these based off of assessed value. We gave them some wiggle room in there, so it was an additional 25 cents per square foot going up to $1.50. In the state of Nebraska, minimum payment for any kind of taking is $100. So that's why the permanent easements were all rounded up to, excuse me, to $100.
So Kate, do we just make one motion to approve these all as presented if we want to do so?
Yeah.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions? We've got the larger amount is because we're changing that street in the S curve. And we're taking more of that land than anywhere else. And that's also including putting a driveway in on this property, right? So. But that,
Right.
the driveway has nothing to do with these forms though, right?
That is correct, right?
Yep. What seems pretty straightforward and. And Kate, you said only one person hasn't responded. Is that, are you guys,
Doesn't have anything to do with
Oh.
this. That's the temporary,
that's the temporary right away, okay.
the right of entry.
Okay.
Yeah.
Does anybody have any other questions?
I'll make a motion. Oh,
Do we have one that has to be done for the other part of Dodge that, or is that ours? You know what I mean? Is that one ours?
Yeah, I think that's our property that we mow anyways,
Are we talking about?
Like on the south side, like that corner on the south?
south side of the street
I think there's already a right of way there.
in front of Ewing's. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
cool.
You were ready?
I was ready to make the motion to, what we decide, we're gonna do it all in one.
Yeah,
Make a motion to approve the waiver evaluations and just compensation forms from Midwest Row as presented.
Second that.
we have a motion and a second for the approval of waiver valuations and just compensation forms from Midwest right away. If there's no further discussion, let's vote on that motion.
Travis Kramer.
Aye.
Scott McCorney.
Aye.
Jeremy Hansen.
Aye.
Jason Weasey. Paul Kraus.
Aye. Maria, I forgot you were waiting on Zoom. I'm sorry if I pushed some other things in front of you. It wasn't intentional. It just slipped my mind that you were waiting in the wings. So
Oh, no worries.
all right. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Have a good evening.
You too.
Thanks.
All right, let's move on. Bell Street, curb and gutter. Item F, discussion and possible approval of closing Third Street from Eagle Street South to the alley or before Arlington Pet Hospital for street dance, August 10th, 2024. From Eagle Street South to the alley or before the pet hospital. I don't understand why there's a choice. They're just,
So she said it.
it seems like,
Well, they want either one way or the other.
Right. It's either, I think, block the alley or.
In the past, we've gone down to the pet hospital, I think,
I would think we'd probably get less complaints if we didn't block off the alley.
yeah,
And
it doesn't, yeah.
from what I've seen, that's plenty of room usually. We haven't ever had any complaints for shutting that street down, have we? No. I would. Yeah, to the alley. I would think that means not blocking off the alley side, but yeah, make that motion out.
Either way, but I mean, there's nothing really.
Well, we've got a nice new approach on the other end, so people can get out in and out of the other end anyway, so.
I'll make the motion to approve the closing of Third Street from Eagle Street to the alley for street dance, August 10th, 2024.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for closing Third Street from Eagle Street south of the alley for the street dance August 10th, 2024. Third Street from Eagle Street south to the alley. That's what you said, right?
Yeah, correct.
Sorry, I tripped over that. If we have no further discussion, let's vote on that motion.
Jeremy Hansen.
Aye.
Jason
Aye.
Weasey. Travis Kramer.
Aye.
Scott McCorney.
Aye.
Paul Kraus.
Aye. Item G, what do we need? These are big rocks. What are they?
No,
Inch and a half?
this is inch out pressure run. The reason I know we have a dump truck, I get all that. But the reason I called Mike is because summer sizzle's coming up. We're busy. I want to get that bottom road, at least some rock on it.
Okay,
And I want to get some in the parking lot there. I'd also like him to haul some for the cemetery. There's quite a few washouts at the cemetery. Yeah. I called him. I called the rock company and asked what it was a ton to purchase. And it's right on that $23 to $25 a ton. So he can haul twice as much as I can. And so it takes me 2 trips to get there and back, and I'm the only one that can haul. So if I can get him to bring a couple loads over to get us supplies. And then later this summer, when it gets to where we're not so busy, I can go haul them.
can any of this rock be used on 7th Street to help with that issue? Is there anything we can do with rocks and grading on the north end of, isn't it? 7th Street?
Yeah, it will probably need some there when I get done doing, I'm gonna do a little ditch work there.
Okay,
So, yep, if I can get him to haul 2-3 loads at 884 a load, so. I just need to not to exceed a certain amount. I know we did budget, I think 5,000 for the cemetery alone for rock, so. I would just need your blessing to set that amount, not to exceed a certain amount.
so let's just say two loads would be enough to get
That's
it, right?
enough for now, yeah, to get us by.
Not to exceed 884 per load.
Yep. I think he said an approximate, so well, that's up to you guys, whatever.
Let's say 900 a load would probably be safe.
Yep.
As long as he doesn't read the minutes before he gets there.
I'll just tell him that it's 900 lower. That's the max.
Okay,
I'd like to see him at that 84.
So I'll make a motion to accept the quote from Mike Reef Excavating for hauling rock in the amount of $900 per load with a max of 2 loads.
Second.
we have a motion and a second for the approval of the quote from Griffey Excavating for hauling rock in the amount of $900 per load for 2 loads. If there's no further discussion, let's vote on that motion.
Jason Weasey.
Aye.
Travis Kramer.
Aye.
Scott McCorney.
Aye.
Jeremy Hansen. Paul Kraus.
Aye. Water Sewer People's Service Report. James, what do you have for us?
I tried sending Kate this video, so you guys could see this, but didn't seem to work, so I'm just gonna have to pass around my phone. That's all right. This is the manhole down by the storage lot. That was flooded. And that is after all the water had receded enough for me to get down there.
Yeah.
There was a lot of water going into that manhole, so I think that manhole needs to be raised. I'm gonna go see American Underground and see what we can do about just getting a riser. And then sealing that up. If there isn't anything there that I think is gonna work to raise it above, high enough above the grade or the floodplain. I think we might need to look at getting somebody, a contractor to actually build it up. But I think for right now, I'm gonna just try to go to American Underground.
I don't know if anybody told you what we found down there. Did anybody tell you? So there's a culvert there behind that RV storage that goes underneath the railroad tracks. Dave and I were down there looking after his building flooded the first heavy rain. And the sprinkler guy came over and said, "You guys looking for that too?" And Dave said, well, yeah, we'd love to find it too. Well, we found the north end was unplugged and the south end had rocks over it from the railroad. I would assume they look just like the rocks that are underneath all of the ties.
That makes sense.
So we couldn't get the railroad to bring a crew out. And we were worried we were gonna get more rain, so we brought the village's excavator down there and dug out 6 feet of rock that were over the end of the culvert. And that's when that trailer parking area drained rapidly in a couple days. So
that's why that backed up.
exactly.
So it shouldn't back up like that.
Hopefully it won't happen again. Dave was pretty frustrated with the fact that his shop was flooding. He said, I don't know what's changed, but I've been here 25 years and I've never had 5 inches of rain flood my shop. So we're hoping that the rocks over the culvert was most of that.
Okay.
And part of what I want to study on drainage is whether we have enough culverts on that side of town, because I believe we should probably have one at the end of Sixth Street too, where that trench comes down. It's already full of silt. We need to clean it out. Not full, but there's enough silt in there that is visible that you need to clean it out.
So then right now it probably doesn't need to be raised.
I don't know, maybe it wouldn't be a bad idea, but find out what it would cost.
I'll do that.
That's not in a drive, it's not in where people are driving right now. It's kind of off the side, isn't it?
Yeah, it's way down.
Yeah.
It's actually east of the fence, so nobody even drives down there.
Okay.
That's in the properties down there where there used to be. I think you guys own that now, but I don't think you can do anything with it. It's just
Yeah,
land down there, I believe.
I would say get an estimate and we'll decide. We can go down there and look at it, see what we think.
Okay.
Who's doing the sewer on 8th Street? I know there's a sub on that one.
On 8th Street.
Having trenching.
Yeah,
Is Henton the sub on that? Would you think they would bid that to say, hey, if you come down and redo this manhole at the same time, could we get a break on price?
I could ask them, yeah. I could call
They're in
John.
town at the same
Yeah.
time, say just coordinate them together and
yeah, maybe get 2 estimates if you can, and maybe we'll get surprised. If that
Yeah.
can help us out, that would be nice. So sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Go ahead.
No, that's all right. That's great to hear. I mean, I thought it was a huge problem that we're gonna have every time it rained, but
Yeah.
if you guys got that to drain, then it might not be as big a problem as I thought it was.
We're hoping.
So then the other problem I think you have is there are, I'm not even sure of a number, there's either 3 or 4 manholes that are south of the train tracks. And I have no clue where they're at. I can't locate them. I don't even know if I can get Trek in here to televise them without knowing where one is to have it open. So I'm gonna try to get them out here and see what we can do about pushing a camera down there or whatever, and they should be able to, I think it's called a sonar or whatever, to find it and hopefully find where the manholes are and then keep
Well,
going.
if it's part of our town sewer system, eventually they're gonna have to find it for us.
So I'm guessing that there's a huge problem there. I'm not sure if it's because those manholes were underwater, because that was flooded as well, but
Yeah,
that whole time that the water was sitting back there, we were pumping flood water to.
well, I noticed our bill was significantly higher. Now you guys have numbers, but why don't we get those numbers on the bill? I don't understand that. You guys get the water pumped to Fremont, right?
The numbers I have are our meter, yeah.
Yeah.
Our meter.
And that's why we don't get from. I'm just curious why they don't put it on our bill.
You should get a reading on that bill. I think you used to.
Okay.
I've never seen that bill. No, but I think you used to get a reading.
I should get a reading on Bill Kate.
We looked for the last 2 months and it didn't show a number, so we're gonna have to check into that. Well, they know how to put the dollar bound on there.
Well, that about
Yeah.
the amount of water?
We're gonna have to check into that and see.
Not paying it until they give you that number and see how long it takes in Florida.
They'll
Yes,
shut off our service.
pumping down the
You
bell.
have a move shut off notice?
Yeah, you're gonna be all right. You'd be all right using a bucket. It'll probably take a couple of weeks before it gets backed up all the way to your house, huh?
I'm guessing we have a pretty bad infiltration problem over there as well, though. south of the train
Yeah.
tracks. Gonna have to get that figured out.
Probably worse, if you open that up and all that over there.
I don't know if it's something that we'll have to look into maybe someday, actually abandoning that sewer and trying to reroute it. Here in town, I don't know if it's even possible because it's so much lower
Yeah,
to actually get it up on the
it sure
highway.
doesn't make sense to have it there. I don't even think our future usage plans include going that direction.
I'm not sure.
Remember from the strategic plan, if anything has ever been said about going south of the tracks?
No.
So if we're not gonna use it, we might as well.
So are those
cap it off.
GPS or those are just random dots on there?
Kate, did you hand me a map with sewer lines on it?
He's on the map. He's on
Somebody
that.
gave
Yeah,
me.
those are, I just put them on there because they were on a map, an actual map.
That's where, I think that's where it goes out of the sewer plant, pumps on the other side of the tracks, and then that's the main line that goes over the frame line.
But they wouldn't put manholes on a force main,
There's
Oh,
all,
there's manholes on it. Oh, yeah.
yeah,
would they?
There's manholes.
but what I'm talking about is the sewer main actually runs. So the guy who owns the sprinkler shop, there are two manholes right there. One of them kind of flows into the other one. I don't really know why that is. They're literally 2 foot apart. But then that one actually flows across the train tracks. And then there's 2 or 3, or maybe even 4 south of the train tracks. And then it comes back right by
Rogers.
those grain bins.
See if Buck will give you any help on that. If he'll come down and camera those and try and give us an idea of where. Let's see what we can get out of him, since that's obviously cheaper than Trek.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if nothing else, he might have some knowledge of where those go. I know
That, I mean,
that's always been sketchy.
I don't know if you bet, there's ditches, there's old tree line down there. I mean, I can't the only way I can locate is with a metal detector. I mean, I can't find them. I don't even know how, they could be buried. But below
Yeah.
grade, but yeah, I've never been able to find anything. So,
See if he'll do anything for us there, as well as checking that Oak Ridge corridor, or Oak, whatever that was, and if we have to, we'll get Trek to find something out, because obviously that cost us another $5,000 or $6,000 this month in water pumped. So our last bill was only 11,000, and it was still high in May, so
yeah, we definitely have a problem.
let's keep that on the list of things we wanna be trying to find out what's going on and see what we can do.
The other thing is, just gonna tell you, Trek is behind, so they haven't started sewer cleaning project this year. I haven't got a time of when they're gonna start. They were busy pumping lift stations during the whole flood, so they're a little bit behind.
Yeah,
I think that's all I got for you.
all right. Anything else anybody had for James? Yeah, it's kind of a bummer when we get 5-inch rain when we're trying to, we were doing really good at tracking lower than previous years, and that you can't be prepared for 5 inches of water that just stands around and infiltrates everything.
Yeah, we had a high level for, I think, 2 weeks straight almost.
Yeah.
It was just keeping up. It couldn't pump it down.
Yeah.
We didn't have any backups, though. I didn't hear of any backup. Nothing good.
All right. Thanks for your time, James.
See you later.
We don't have anything new on water sewer. As far as a committee to report. Obviously, we need to figure out where the sewer separation is. We're having trouble trying to decide if this is a streets issue or water sewer.
Storm sewer?
Yes.
I think it's streets, isn't it? It ties into streets.
I don't know. We call water sewer the same thing. But I think it's the street issue, if we have to tear up the streets and put curb inlets, so.
Seems to go hand in hand.
Item C, police. Mike, thank you for coming. Anything you have new and exciting for us?
No.
A lot of excitement in Kennard, I heard, and that was,
Yes, and thank goodness that was state patrol,
yeah,
not us. I mean, we were there.
yeah. Boy, that disrupted a lot of stuff. The railroad was shut down, I heard.
Shut the highway down, shut the road.
Yeah. Yeah,
Actually brought the guy in custody.
yeah. Thankfully, nobody got hurt. Anybody have anything for Sheriff Robinson?
Got our summer sizzle events coming up. You might want to.
Yep. Do you know about Summer Sizzle, those dates and?
Yep, I just updating. As you're speaking of. All ready for that.
Right. Eagerly awaiting the barbecue tasting contest. Yeah. I usually see quite a few deputies down there. That always seems to be a popular,
Oh,
I know it's one of my favorite events.
We are gonna be, probably rerouting the parade route this year. I'm meeting with the fair board, a couple of members of the fair board. I mean, do you think you need present for that, to go over that, if there's any concerns that you have?
let me know when the meeting is.
Okay, I will let you know.
That's always a pretty rough night with traffic. I don't know how you do that parade any better
Yeah.
unless,
Well, I meant we're gonna have to reroute it from the street project. So
Yeah.
I don't know where it's gonna go.
I'm just trying to figure out what would be a better way than, it just seems to be such a traffic jam after that, people trying.
My idea is, the main thing is a staging area for everyone. Kind of my tentative idea right now, I know it's kind of off the cuff right now, is start at down at the new complex. Come up Bell Street to Sixth Street, come up Sixth Street, and then kind of tie into where we normally would off of Sixth Street instead of basically 2 blocks down.
That might bring some more traffic from the complex down St. Paul's Hill, which would alleviate a lot of the highway traffic. It seems like everybody's trying to get in off the highway after that parade.
Yes.
And I don't think a lot of people realize that anybody can go in that back entrance and find a spot. That might help. I don't know.
That's about, unless we'd started on the south side of the football field and work our way down, but there's really no staging area there.
No,
Other than line up all the way up to St. Paul Road, which I don't think is gonna be a very good option.
no.
I'm supposed to meet.
There's a lot of visibility concerns there, both directions, if you got traffic all over that street.
Yeah, and I think it's about the same distance. There's a hill that you gotta go up on Sixth Street, but, oh well, get them a little exercise.
All right.
Make sure we publish it so people know where it's.
Well, that's why I'm gonna meet with them next week. I can meet with, I think Kathy Schmitz, the parade director on.
Sounds good.
Do you have any feelings on traffic calming? Do
I'm sorry.
you have any feelings on traffic calming devices?
They seem to work in some areas. I was going to mention that I did want to really bring it up. You really want to slow traffic down, place a couple stop signs, some of the intersections.
Yeah.
But you consider that, be ready for the blowback.
Yeah.
There will be some.
Well, I personally feel there's just as many problems here with people crossing Eagle Street that don't look. There's people that just blow down Fourth Street, Fifth Street, Sixth Street, because there's no stop sign. They can turn on the highway and they know there's no stop sign. So kids that are late coming to school, I know, love to turn on Fourth or Fifth Street, and then they can just jet up to school without a stop sign. Constantly see people leaving from the auditorium area that do not look when they're crossing Eagle Street. And, you know, that's a tough one because there's a lot of old timers in town that feel like if I'm on Eagle Street, I have the right of way. I don't care which way you're coming or going.
Yeah.
And then there's people crossing that don't look either way. So I feel like there's a lot of places in town that maybe could use stop signs or something, but yeah, you're gonna catch a lot of, I know it never ended when they put the stop sign at the top of the Sixth Street Hill there above the mini mart. I know that was a big concern for a lot of people and that hasn't seemed to end the world like people thought it did, but
And I will say this, if you know Fort Calhoun, Clay Street goes out west, count past the cemetery and 133. That was a speedway.
yeah,
25 zone speedway. They put a stop sign, one of the three-way. And a lot of people, there were several people who were upset. But the people who live on that street really appreciated it.
yeah.
And it's really slowed the traffic down. It's dropped the average speed 10+ miles.
No. I don't know, we'll have to discuss that, but my personal opinion, I feel like stop signs are better, they're a lot cheaper for us.
One of the things I hear about speed bumps or calming devices, it's a snow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what we talked about already.
Yeah.
And then, if you're in,
So you're thinking, would you put a stop sign right by Dwyer's house then? Cause that's a freeway? I'm just trying to.
it doesn't matter whose house we put it by, they're gonna complain that now I hear loud cars.
Well,
starting
when
up.
people stop at that stop sign, they're gonna throw litter out in his yard and tell you,
It will work, but you will get complaints.
Well, we're gonna get flack either way if we do something. If we do a traffic calming device, there'll be no end to it. And there'll be people wanting us to pay for their broken struts and their wheels and their muffler that fell off right there, All right, thank you for your input on that. You guys have any?
Blame me, I guess.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You bet. You guys have anything as a committee?
Nah, I'm waiting.
All right, Parks Committee report. Travis and Jeremy, thanks for your time, Mike. Other than the pool stuff, you guys have anything going on?
That's the biggest one.
It's always a big one. I suppose we should probably call and ask what they think it would cost to give us maybe if they would give us an off the cuff estimate.
The village of Shelton, Nebraska, just put this pool in, and it was 3.9 million. So there's a board here, so there's lanes here for your swimming things, and this is a walk-in over here, so it's very similar to the design we kind of have already with an L shape. And this was 3.9 million.
Looks like a Olympic style swimming pool. Is that, I guess it's not that big, but it's got lanes for swimming.
Yep, for the. So that's 3.9.
With no bathhouse, just the
That was just the pool, it says. And then there's a slide here and then the two boards over here. And then it's a 0 entry.
Is that a splash pad area on the top?
Here, this is
Yeah.
the slide.
Over to the right, is that just fencing over there? I can't,
Those are just like,
okay.
so you can like, yeah.
Yeah.
Boundaries there.
Well, that's no problem. Well, it's just, probably 3 million, 3.9. Well, it'll be over 4 by the time we get this.
For sure it would be.
Everything goes up every year.
We do have a,
Where are we gonna come up with that?
you're still talking about.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, John.
I was just gonna say, we do have a couple of roof leaks in our new bathroom that I have to get addressed, but I've been trying to get a hold of. Roofers are a little busy right now for some reason.
That's odd.
Yeah, that's
Really?
I gotta call in McKinnis, but I haven't heard back. Just so you're aware, if you go into the bathrooms and you see,
Is that, when was that roof done?
oh, it's been,
After the hail?
I'll bet it's been 6, 7 years. And it could be any, I looked up there.
Then we get it redone when we had that other goofy,
Yep, they came, McKinnis came and did it.
Redid it.
redid it.
So. Could be a screw, could be,
Yeah.
I'd looked, but I couldn't find anything. It could be clear up top and it's leaking down below.
John, there was one in the library too. Did you know that? Just right in the, yeah, right in the. Like,
At least some are ceiling panels.
Yeah.
Drywall.
well, that's what I figured. Like,
Oh, shoot.
wait until after you check it and then replace it, but like.
I'll have to get, And like I said, they're busy. so
Well, if
I
we
get it.
finished did the last one, I'd just soon give them a chance to come out and look at it first.
Yeah,
if they-
yeah, it could be anything.
All right, monthly library report. Did anybody have any questions on that? What's the lead time on that window? Did they say?
8 weeks,
8 weeks?
at least 8 weeks.
Yeah.
I told them, to just, move it done before October,
Snowfalls, yeah.
before our budget season. But half is right, it should.
We're gonna have a geocaching site at the library. Hope this isn't gonna be like when they're. I remember when there was this game where kids would, you can't remember what it was called, but they would be out with their phones trying to find.
Pokemon Go.
They still do that.
Hello?
I remember some sheriff's reports about.
And
Strange.
geocaching,
Yeah.
been around way longer.
Yeah.
So I ain't worried, too worried about it.
I think there's 5 or 6 geocaches in Arlington already.
At least,
Yeah.
there used to be one in the Cannon. I don't know if they're still there.
So we probably won't even notice, huh?
No.
All right. Let's move on to the cemetery. Item E, committee report. I was out there for Memorial Day. It looked great, I thought. I love the new monument out there. You guys have anything else?
Sprinkle some rock out there, that'd be great.
We're dying to come to see it.
Item F, administrative. Washington County Building Permit Report. Anybody have any questions or concerns on that? Oh, Jesus.
Somebody was able to get the roof worked on.
Somebody must know a roofer.
Mhm.
All right, let's move on to the clerk report. What do you have for us?
Well, I don't know, business as usual, made some bond payments this month. Finished the requirements for the 2024 Celebrate Trees Grant, filed the Lane Mile report. I applied for new village credit card, have not heard a word.
Our credit's no good.
Well, I don't know.
They don't trust.
Then filed the treasury hours for 2024, so I don't know what happens if you don't do that, but probably bad things, but that's not happening. There's only been 42 responses to the lead and copper service line inventory thing. That concerns me.
What do I have to do?
I don't know. I don't know what we have to do. I don't know what we're supposed
Can
to.
I just?
I just don't understand how can they enforce that?
I don't know, and I don't.
It's not like they're gonna go to every single person's house in the.
Do you have a form that I can fill out here at the office?
Yes.
Okay.
Need a paper form?
Okay,
Got
okay. I'll fill one out before I leave,
you. Okay.
if you leave one for me.
Okay, but anyway, I don't know what needs to happen there, cause it's like, what, June? The deadline's October. I don't know. I mean, we sent out those, cause it was like Hooper mailed out, the thing to everybody with their water bills. But we sent out those postcards with that on there. And that did get some responses, but I don't know, maybe we have to,
Do a real mailing.
yes. Which is,
To every water person.
yeah.
Speaking of clerk's report,
Yes.
John, I've been asked if you could continue doing your reports. I know it's a pain. But it's nice for everybody to be able to see what's going on. So. Okay, carry on.
I don't know, any questions? I don't know.
How often do they do that reporting as far as like
The lead thing?
the lead?
It's like
That's a new thing.
it's a,
Yeah, this is like new,
it
yeah,
was like mandated by by Congress, yeah,
yeah,
So this is for stock.
yes.
for the whole United States.
Yes.
Because they want to determine the infrastructure and how much of it is still lead.
But I don't know how we're supposed to get all this information. Quite frankly, so. Because I think there's like. Maybe 500 some accounts
Hmm.
in town, and we've had 42 responses. So I don't know. I mean, we can mail out the paper form to everybody. I don't know if. I don't know how much of that's gonna solve our problem, but that would be the next thing, I think. 'Cause I don't know what else to do. Aside from going door to door.
Let's put out an urgent post on Facebook. Or let's try and put the same one on the one. On the front desk in Facebook.
Right.
And just tell people the different ways they can do it. If they're not comfortable emailing one, come down and fill out a form, please. We have to have it done by October.
Initial inventories are required to be submitted to the state primary agencies by October 16th.
Mhm.
So I guess that's Nebraska's
Well, that's just.
primary agency as to what's the,
That's just what we have, what you get, initial inventory. If you
Yeah.
get 50 of them, you
Yeah.
put it in.
that's yeah.
What do you want?
The service line inventory must include all service lines regardless of actual or intended use.
Hmm.
Material classifications for both entire system and customer side where ownership is split. Location identifiers for lead and GRR, I don't know what that stands for.
Pretty
Yep.
sure.
Yep. They also recommend detailed location identifiers. Guideline for developing and maintaining a service line inventory.
I got the postcard, you do it online, it's pretty slick, and it goes
Yeah.
pretty quick, so.
It's okay.
Oh, they have webinars from 2019. You can go back and watch to figure out what you're supposed to be doing.
Oh,
Is it something that we need to, if they need, like some, like, little ladies might not be able to even identify what they have.
Yeah,
Well, I talked about, like, when you went all online, it's like, it tells you how to scratch
it
and
does, yeah.
all that good
But
stuff.
some of them ladies.
Yeah,
They might not even know where
Water
the
line is.
No. I mean, you can put, I don't know.
Just something.
Yeah. I think I might even put, I don't know. I didn't feel like going downstairs and looking. I was assuming it was copper. Then that electrical isn't yet.
But I don't know. Whatever. I'll keep trying.
Okay. Item C, discussion about fence regulations and review planning commission recommendation.
So in their last meeting, they wanted to review our fence regulations, because in the ordinances, it says that if you want to get a fence, you need to get a permit from the board, and then it has to be reviewed by a building inspector, the building inspector. We don't do that. We never have. It's B, item B on the ordinance right attached. We've never done that. There's no like process for that, but the planning commission recommended that that's what we should, like, yes, we should do that. And have like a permitting process. Which then I think as a board, we either need to figure out like, well, what does that permitting process look like? And if we're not gonna do that, then take this out of the ordinance. So it doesn't stay there. Like, I think need to decide. Do we want to require permits and inspections for fences? And how do we do that? Or do we
What
just-
concerns have we had? Have we had a concern other than is this a fence when we tell somebody they gotta put up a fence around their pool?
I think somebody, I had just heard from somebody that they were like, you're supposed to get a permit, and then they were like, no, I called the city and the city said you don't have to get one, and then I explained the situation of like, We've never done it. There's precedent.
I wonder if we had some kind of an updated ordinance that threw that in there without us changing it. Maybe we've never heard of getting a permit.
It talks about zoning districts in here that we don't have. I don't know what an IM district is, like,
Yeah,
so anyway. I don't know, but I guess the question is, do we want to figure out a permitting and inspecting process, or do we just want to remove this from the ordinance? And that would be whatever, so, yeah, like district OHV, I guess that's a tag. I don't think we actually have that on our zoning, map.
all right. We'll sit down and look at that ordinance a little closer and
Yeah, because the
The
planning,
biggest thing you tell people is you can't make it more than 8 foot, right?
yeah, it can't be more than 8 feet.
Yeah, and then unless you're on a corner,
Property.
if you're on a corner lot, then it can only be.
And if it's like a privacy fence, the unfinished site has to face you. And I recommend you get a survey so you know where your property lines are, well, if you don't know, and that's about it, so.
we haven't had any issues other than whether or not you're supposed to get a permit. I think it's pretty easy to explain to people what's expected, and if they don't do that, we can tell them they need to fix it. So let's review this ordinance. Maybe we'll send it by our lawyer and see what he thinks we should do.
And maybe just tell them what your practice is and say, let's make the ordinance say what our practice is.
Okey dokey.
All right, that leads us back to unfinished business, item C, discussion of the baseball complex interlocal agreement. We'll make a motion to go into executive session for the discussion of this item.
I'll make a motion to go into executive session for this.
Did, Teresa, before you go, did you get a list of those people on the dog park committee? Okay, there was a spelling in there that was wrong. I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, Cheyenne's reach out.
Okay,
Jerry,
all right,
I'll have her reach out to get what you read.
sounds good.